Hi, everybody. My name is Howard Sample. I'm the founder and director of the Life Crafting Program, and I want to welcome you all here today for our first Teaching Tuesday event. I'm very excited to be here. I know it's a little bit early, just a tiny bit before the hour, but I'm going to get started with some basics here. First of all, what is our title for today? Our title for today is What to Do When You Don't Know How to Start or You Don't Know Where to Start. This is a very, very common situation that a lot of people find themselves in all different areas of life and business and career. And I want to start out by by giving you just a few examples of the situations that you may find yourself in. One of them is obviously in business with a project or an activity or a goal. Maybe you're launching a new product, maybe you're marketing yourself, maybe you're venturing out into a new area that's unfamiliar to you. And there's a lot of factors and a lot of things to be taken into account to coordinate. So that's one example. Another one is you may be a student, a college student or a graduate student, and you're embarking on a research project or a thesis, or it's just a very important paper, and there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of details to be managed. Another could be a home or family related project, building something for your home, or repairing, remodeling, going on an important trip, things of that sort that involve a lot of planning or parts. Or it could be a long standing goal, something that you have wanted to work on or have been trying to work on for a long time, but you have felt stuck. Uh, maybe fearful, maybe just really just unsure, confused, conflicted. Those are all very common. Or it could be some kind of an entanglement, commonly in relationships, can be entangled with a lot of various factors, or it could just be some problem area where just there's a lot of moving parts and you're trying to find, like, where do I start? Where do I start? What's going to be the beginning point? So what are we going to do today? What are you going to learn today? Let's talk a little bit about that. It's really important. The first and most important thing you're going to learn today is to adopt a new viewpoint and adopt a wider perspective. That means to not look at your situation the same way that you always have been looking at it. We all tend to have a lens that we look through how we see things, but we don't often get the opportunity to switch lenses or perceive things differently. Today, you're going to have an opportunity to do that, to get a different perspective and look through a different lens. You're also going to have an opportunity to shift from a how to perspective, like, how do I begin? What do I do? And instead shift to what we call an outcome or a result oriented orientation, which is really different and very, very powerful, really big shift. You're going to learn how to gain access to what I call your playful curiosity. We all have, different aspects to our nature. One of them is playfulness, curiosity, openness, you know, whatever with desire to learn, explore, that you're going to be able to access that and open that up. And finally, opportunity to break free from outdated habits, doubts, or fears. Okay. So, first of all, I want everybody to know here that this is intended as an introduction to this topic because it's really vast. There's so many things to it, and we do have a limited time. So, uh, what we're going to do today is get you started, get you off the launching pad, get you shifted. But then at the very end of our event, I'm going to make an offer. I'm going to make a share a special opportunity for you to continue this work beyond today, in a very amazing kind of way, very simple, very amazing kind of way, where you're going to get the support you need to see this all the way through to a full breakthrough, and shift, your world, shift your reality, et cetera, real breakthrough. Okay, but in order to have this opportunity, in order to access the opportunity, you will need to stay till the end. And it is an exclusive offer. It is only available to people in our Facebook group and who are attending our event on our Teaching Tuesday. So we'll stay tuned for that. Now, as far as comments and questions are concerned, we have, of course, our stream here. And I want to encourage you throughout the event to post your comments, your questions, whatever thoughts are occurring. But please be sure to put in your first name when you put down your thoughts or comments, because the software that we're using, the StreamYard software, will not show me your name. It will only just say Facebook user. So please, please include that. Okay, so now what is our core guiding principle here? I'm going to start out with our core guiding principle, which is in order for something to exist in the physical universe, anything to exist in the physical universe, the possibility of that thing must already exist in consciousness. Without a vision, an idea, a goal, a desire for something, the new thing simply does not and cannot exist. There are things, of course, that seem to show up unexpectedly in our world, but the truth is, if we look closely, we will see that idea has already been in the collective consciousness, and maybe in particular individuals. If you look through history, you will find that all major movements, all major accomplishments throughout history, all amazing breakthroughs, etc., have come about usually with a man or woman or someone who's a visionary, who sees a new possibility, sees a new idea, sees something that they really want, where there's a strong desire, and then a movement is formed or following or something like that. So that is really always, and the same is true with technology, with science, with technology, and really any field. And if you look at various companies like Apple, for example, you will see the same phenomenon: a vision, an idea, and then a commitment to that, seeing that through. So what I'm leading up to here is that the name of our event could conceivably be called the power of possibility. And I want to implant that phrase in your mind as we move forward, that is really what we're doing here, what we're building, and what we're creating, the power of possibility. Wherever you feel stuck in your life, no matter what it is, whether it's a very small, minute area, or whether it's something really, really big that you've wanted for a long time, that you're just not really sure how to create it, it always begins with possibility. So let's look at some examples. So when you build a house, you need a flat, level, uncluttered piece of land to build it on. You can't just take land which has got all kinds of junk and it's all hilly and everything. Obviously, you need to prepare the land for the house. That is in the equivalent of possibility. If you want to grow food, you have to till the soil, you have to prepare the soil, and then put seed in the soil to grow food. Again, another example of possibility. If you want to start a business, you need to have an idea, a concept, a plan, a vision, a passion, a desire, something that creates possibility that is born with that. Now, you may have heard, over time, you may have heard this expression that something was an idea whose time has come. Now, that's been used a few places, and that's a good example, a good representation of what I mean by possibility in consciousness. So when you don't know where to start or how to start, it is likely that you have not fully created possibility. And this must happen first before you're going to move ahead and see, actual results. The other possibility, of course, is that your focus of attention is such that it's not effective. So how do you create possibility for something you want? That's, of course, our central question. You start by focusing on your desired outcome rather than the task. You want to take your attention off of the how or the task and put it on what is it ultimately you want. The more attention that you place on the outcome, the desire, what you really want, and particularly how you feel about that, your vision of that, your idea of that, how it will affect your life, the lives of others, et cetera, et cetera. And the more attention you place on that, that energy fuels the process from the beginning. Now, of course, remember here that the only thing that exists in our universe is energy. Everything is energy. Matter is energy in just a different form. So we're all we're ever doing really is altering energy. We're changing the form of energy, the amplitude of energy, the frequency of energy, the composites of different combinations of frequencies of energies, and this is what elevates, and it also alters our thought process because thought is also energy. And when you have multiple thoughts, you're, of course, combining many different energies together. Okay, let's use an example here. Let's say you want to start a business. So, what could be your starting point for creating a powerful possibility? You would start with some questions like, what is your business idea? Obviously, what is appealing about this idea? What will this give you when it is created? What's motivating you to do it? What's exciting about it? Can you see a picture of this business when it's fully developed? And what feelings do you have about this business? And again, drop down into the feeling level in your body, feel what you feel, see what you see, and avoid putting attention on all the challenges and all the problems and all the things you'll have to do to make the business happen and how to get the money and all those things are important. They're all important, of course, but within a certain time frame and within a certain a progression. The more you immerse yourself in the why and the desire and the feeling and put aside the how for now, that is going to be incredibly empowering for you. So that's the key. Uh, now, when you initially, when you put attention on this energy and you sit with it for a while, really contemplate it and view it and think about it, and perhaps do some writing. I'm a big advocate of journal writing, and writing in a journal each day and then carrying your ideas forward from day to day. You're going to notice a very interesting thing will happen, which is that one idea will tend to attract another similar idea, or will be like an offshoot. There'll be one idea and there'll be an offshoot of that idea, or there'll be one really positive, exciting feeling, and then that will give rise to another feeling. So the more attention you put on something you love, that you desire, that you care about, the more that feeling grows, the stronger it gets, the more thoughts arise around it. And if you're doing journal writing, for example, that's going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And this, of course, eventually becomes a huge thing. And what we're going to get to a little later, but I'll tell you right now, the action elements, the how elements will emerge from that energy, that vortex of energy that you're building. Now, what I want to do now is I want to tell you a personal story about something very major in my background to really illustrate our theme for today. So way back in the 1970s, I wanted to make a career change, an unprecedented, in virtually inconceivable career change from the field of mathematics, where I was I had my master's, worked on a PhD, and was teaching, et cetera, high school and college. I wanted to make a career change from mathematics to the arena of personal growth, astrology, and career development. I had a vision of all these different ideas and how they could sort of come together in a magical way. At the time, there was absolutely no precedent for this. No one had ever done this before, so there was no model or framework. It seemed totally impossible, and you can imagine, my feeling of hopelessness, absolute hopelessness. I had no idea how I was going to move forward. There were no computers, there was no internet, and there was no phone. So that just adds into the whole kind of miraculous aspect of this. Then I met two extraordinary visionary men who I deeply respected, who happened to be working in this prestigious office on Madison Avenue in New York City. Okay, so you wearing suits, the whole thing, executives, etc. You know, the whole image. These were brilliant men, absolutely brilliant men. They were very business minded. They were not, some, hippies out, out in the, wearing beads or something. They were serious minded professional people, with incredible educations, etc. And what happened was is they got to know me and we started working together. They not only believed what I wanted to do was possible, but they saw me as a one of a kind trailblazer to start something new that again truly had never been done before. I felt so validated by this experience with them that my gifts and my abilities and gifts and vision would be recognized and valued. Uh, that I literally just a shift, a profound inner shift took place in me. So what actually happened here? Let's look at it from the vantage point of our theme for today. What happened was that a new possibility was literally created that never existed before, truly never existed before. And I want you to really get this, it's very significant. Once this occurred, I felt such excitement and passion that I became determined to see this through and make it happen no matter what it took. Okay. So I used everything they taught me, particularly regarding connections, making connections with people and building partnerships. Little by little, one step after the next, doors opened. People got to see and learn about me, recognize me, who I was. Things started to fall in place. I was patient and yet persistent and determined. And eventually, the idea of life crafting was born. Now, of course, this is decades ago. So, of course, it had a different name then. But in essence, it was life crafting. And this is the story of what happened for me. So today, what do? Today we empower people like you to do this. But with the technology of today, uh, it's 1,000 times easier and faster and doable. But the underlying principles are still the same. Whatever it is you want to be, do, or have, from the smallest micro piece all the way to the biggest aspect of it, there has to be possibility. And possibility is created with a vision, with ideas, with a vision, with desire, ultimately with determination and commitment. But that comes over time. The more you entertain something and you live with it, um, the more real that it becomes. So let's talk now about a practical matter that may be going through your mind. Oh, I see we have some great people here. Laura, welcome, welcome. Let's see, yay. Love your story. Very cool. Thank you so much. It's so cool to see you here. So now let's go on to a practical question that you may be thinking, which is okay. I get all this stuff. Okay, I get this, but how do I create the how? Because we know all projects and goals in life they do have a how aspect to them. How do you create the how? Okay, so this is where your patience and your trust may be a little bit challenged because the truth is that the how emerges from the energy of possibility. When there's a real genuine possibility that you embrace with your heart and your soul and your mind, and it's something you occupy and you take ownership of that and you love that and nurture that and feed that and live that and celebrate that, because really it's your deepest truth, it's your deepest core truth, whatever it may be, right? So when that happens, you will over time decide on various actions that will you'll spring into action, like for example, one day you might just go, oh my god, I got to do a Google search on this, I got to find out who in the world is doing this, who has solved this problem before, who has done this thing. That's just a kind of a natural thing. Or you might jump on YouTube and look for videos of people who are interested in this topic or this subject or been in this situation before. Okay, or or you might look and find a Facebook group and say, hey, I'm going to hang out with like-minded people in a Facebook group who are swimming around in the same territory and maybe been there. Maybe they're a year ahead of me. Maybe they're 2 years ahead of me. Maybe they've covered some of the ground that where I am now, and they could help me out, or maybe I could help them out. That sort of thing. So remember that in the 1970s there were no Facebook groups, right? But I still managed to find people and make connections to build those alliances, those partnerships, and to move things further and get the knowledge, get the information and knowledge, that I had. Like for example, I was living in New York and I read some article about a man in California in San Anselmo who's an astrologer, and he was doing amazing work and a humanistic orientation. And I wrote him a letter, and he wrote me back, the old-fashioned letters in the mail kind of thing. So it's truly amazing what is possible when you want to. So the moral of the story here is that the how actions emerge organically from the possibility and the energy you create. So one way to say this is, well, possibility equals energy. So when you engage in the power of possibility, you are engaging in a divine and extraordinary power and energy in the universe that is the source of everything. I mean, the blades of grass that shoot up, in early April in the ground, they come from that source, that same source of energy. And it is that inherent quality in the universe that gives rise to that. Okay, let's shift gears here for a bit and talk about a very different kind of challenge, of a different kind of situation, and see how we might apply the power of possibility of this whole thing to this situation. So let's say that you're in a very entangled circumstance, and I've heard so many stories from so many people, with such a web of complexity. And good metaphor for this would be a tangled ball of yarn. So imagine it's so entangled, it's such a mess that whenever you look at the tangled ball of yarn and you say, well, what if I pull this strand, that strand? And every strand you try to pull just is hopeless because it makes the whole ball of yarn, tighter. And, it just is, where to go. It's just so frustrating and so confusing, right? So you're going to put aside the how, as we said earlier, put aside the how, and you're going to let yourself for a moment, just briefly for a moment, feel this frustration and let you feel it in your body and then release it. Just let it go. Just let it go. Okay. Give yourself permission to focus on the desired result or the outcome. What will it be like when the situation is finally resolved? What will it look like? What will it feel like? How will your life change when it's resolved? How will the people around you who may be involved in this, how will their life change and be what benefits there will be? Write down a brief description of these things and just be with the energy. Remember, again, everything is energy. Just be with the energy. Let go of effort and struggle and that kind of mind paralysis that sometimes comes in when you're so fervent on finding out the solution. You jump from one idea and another idea, and it's just almost like this prison in your mind jumping around. Just let it all go and write, and but stay with the energy of the outcome of the desire, and let some time go by, maybe a few hours, maybe a day. Come back. What has shifted? Is there anything that shifted? Even a minor shift. Just notice, allow. Don't, no resistance. Feel whatever feelings are there. Energy. Remember, feelings are energy. They will flow from one to the next. When you really feel a feeling and there's no resistance, it will dissipate. It will flow because it's the nature of energy. All energy is moving unless our thoughts or beliefs fixate that energy. Okay. All right. So now, after you've done all this, is the ball of yarn still so important to you, or might there be something else that has emerged that's even more important now. Just notice that. If it's not, that's okay. But then notice. Next, ask yourself, who would be a good person that you could speak to about this situation, this ball of yarn, hopelessly entangled ball of yarn, who might offer a different perspective, maybe just a different lens, a different way of looking at it. And most importantly, bring in your playful curiosity. How would somebody fresh, beginner's mind, Zen mind, beginner's mind, who's looking at it completely newly, what would they see? And Now, there are layers to different situations. I will be very honest with you. There are layers, and I've done lots of problem solving over the years with lots of people, and sometimes we need to go deeper and peel the onion down and look at beliefs, etc., and long-standing emotional patterns or triggers, and sometimes those come into play. Obviously, we can't resolve all those things, in one session here, but we can get started, and it's the getting started that is so important, because anything new in your life, once you get started with it, it will have a momentum of its own, and it will keep moving ahead. Especially if you feed energy, if you cultivate, if you do journal writing, if you interact with others, if you have a support system, which is exactly what our Facebook group is designed to be, a community of like-minded people who will support you. But that only works when you participate. It only works if you're present, if you engage, if you comment people's posts, ask questions, do your own posts, introduce yourself, say what you're up to, say what you're looking for. I mean, going back to the 1970s, just for as a crazy thought, if there was a Facebook group, what good would it be for me to join a Facebook group if I wasn't willing to say a word or post anything or ask any questions? I would have stayed stuck. Nothing would have changed. So it's taking it on and being responsible for the outcome you want that ultimately determines what occurs. Okay, so this is one example, and of course, there's many other examples. And we know that every human being has a creative side to them. And again, the more you access your creativity, the more you use it, the more benefits come from it, the more you become aware of it, etc. And your creativity is the divine expressing itself in you. So the more you access that, the more the energy again grows, and eventually shifts happen and new solutions are birthed. One of my favorite quotations is from Buckminster Fuller, who said, for something existing in society that you feel is no longer good or useful or supportive of life, rather than fighting it or conflicting with it, or trying within the system to change it, simply create something new that represents the values and the perspective that you want, so that the old system just simply becomes obsolete because it's already been superseded so much, from the past. So let's see here. I want to see if there's any. There's a lot of comments here, but I'm going to see if there's any questions. I'm not seeing any questions. Laura has Laura has put up a bunch of great comments here. No, I love your comment. There needs to be space for it. That's a very that's a very 80s expression. We back in the 80s we used to use that expression a lot. Create space for something, which is again it's the same idea, creating possibility, because space is possibility. Space is the container for new possibility that can be birthed. And it's not something that people are that much aware of nowadays. Okay, so since there are no actual questions here, I'm going to move on to the special opportunity that I promised that I would show everybody today. So here's what we're going to do. Whatever your situation is, whatever you prompted you to come to our event today, participate in this, or the recording if you happen to be seeing a video recording of this at a later time. Either way, you're here for a reason. There's something that you want to shift, something you want to create or shift or change. overcome, some breakthrough you want. So what I want to support you in doing is having that actual real breakthrough, which motivated you to come here in the first place. Okay. And what I want to offer you is something really extraordinary, is to meet with you privately on a Zoom call, in a one-to-one Zoom call, and accomplish two really major things. One is to use what we started to talk about here today and help you create the actual breakthrough that you want, go all the way and create the breakthrough. And then the second is to create a plan, looking at what your long-term goals or vision are, where you want to move to in your life, whether personally or professionally. Create a plan for that, like sort of a master plan. Now, this is a pretty substantial session, and I charge $497 for that session, but I'm doing something real extraordinary here. I've decided to offer the discovery session exclusively for members of our group and people who the uh, attend the event, our Teaching Tuesday event, or either the live or the recording event. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link, the calendar link to scheduling the discovery session uh, in the comments in our event comment flow here. So you'll be able to see that shortly. I'll put that in there. Now, I do want to emphasize something, that I do these sessions with people who are serious-minded professionals who are determined, committed to creating a breakthrough. Obviously, that's necessary in order for the time our time allocation to be worthwhile for both of us. Uh, but if you feel a strong desire, go ahead and schedule the appointment, okay? But I want you to be aware that you will need to make some kind of commitment, or not need to, but I'm going to ask you or invite you to make some kind of commitment. Now, remember, in Life Crafting, we have a whole range of programs and courses and different things, lots of places where you can start. So there's very affordable options. There's very different things you can do. It's not a one size fits all, where we have a pretty extensive array of ways of starting. And that's the key. I've learned over many, many years, the key is to start. Whatever you want in life, just get started and have a support system. If you have those two things in life, that you get started, you have a support system of people who give you feedback, you can work back and forth, you can have some introductory materials to get you started, make progress, report your results, get feedback, do more, get feedback. You can interact, and you're in a support system. I'm going to tell you right now, you are going to get there. You are going to make that work. It's the only time people sabotage is when they break off, they become a lone ranger, they're all on their own, they have no support system, don't have a starting point. So the moral of the story here is, do not be a lone ranger. Join our group. Invite your friends to join our group. We're a community. We're a mutually empowering group of people. We're going to have so many wonderful opportunities in our Facebook group moving forward, of ways for you to get the support you want, no matter where your starting point. If you're in a job and you're just doing 9 to 5 and you're maybe not making very much money, but you have a strong desire to change your life and move into something you truly love, we're here for you. But you need to go all the way, commit, and get involved and stay active and participate. Just a hit and miss once in a while thing is obviously not really going to work. But if you're sincere and you're committed and you're there, I assure you, my team and I are going to notice you. We're going to notice you, and we're going to help you in some way or other. So that's basically it. Let's see. So we're going to be doing. Let me just give you some coming attractions starting in September. Well, we're normally going to be doing our Teaching Tuesdays on the first and third Tuesday of every month. But because this is August 30th and we're at the end of the month, we're basically going to jump ahead to the third Tuesday in September for our next Teaching Tuesday. And you will see the topic, the announcement, here. You'll get all the info on that. And we are also going to shift our other Facebook Live event on the Wednesday, Astro Dice. We're going to be shifting that to the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. So to give more space and more opportunity for more people to come in. So anyway, that's it for today. I'm so glad, excited, everybody. Whoever's here, Laura, fantastic. Love seeing you. Love meeting you. And take this seriously. Please do yourself a favor. Take this seriously. Use what I've shared here today, because it is pivotal. And if you apply what I shared, it will create breakthroughs for you consistently. And with a support system, you'll keep moving forward. So that's it for today. I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got benefit from it. The recording, of course, is going to be here. Feel free to comment in the stream. I will check in and I will respond to whatever questions or comments that you have. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you and working with you in the future. So have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday, and we will connect soon. Bye-bye.